Warning. Today's episode contains spoilers for the new movie Lightyear.
To infinity
and beyond.
Let's unpack the magic. Quick, Andy's coming.
Welcome to another episode of the Team Unicorn Podcast. I am Tyler.
And I'm Sammy.
And today's episode, as you can see by our desk, if you're watching the YouTube podcast, it is all about Toy Story.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Toy Story has been around like forever, I feel. It's been a part of our lives like since we were kids.
Yeah, it was the first Pixar movie, wasn't it?
Yes, it was the first. I always get confused if it's like that or the Bug's Life. Bug's Life is second. But today we're going to talk about everything Toy Story, from the OG Toy Story 1 all the way up to the newest addition to the franchise, which is Lightyear. Yep. You will be getting a Lightyear review from us at the very end of this episode, so stick around to the end there.
Yes.
But we want to start talking about the original Toy Story movies. We kind of just hit on it. Growing up with the Toy Story movies has just been something that, it's always been around, I feel.
Yeah, they were always there. We definitely watched them. I remember watching the first and second one growing up, and I really enjoyed them. I thought they were really good movies, and even to this day, like, I still enjoy watching them.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's weird because like when the first movie came out, like we were about 5 years old.
Yeah.
And then the second one came out when we were 9. So like obviously we're still children at that time, and like these movies were kind of like made for us. But then growing up, the third one came out when we were like 19 and 20 years old.
Yes.
And then more recently, when Toy Story 4 came out, like we were 28, 29. Like we had been married for several years, and now this newest edition, like we're old. We're 32 now. Like I'm 32 now. Yeah. It's been around like our entire lives. Like this Toy Story franchise, these characters, these songs, like these stories have just been around like forever.
Yeah. Yep. We definitely grew up on them, and seeing them as an adult, I was still like just as excited. So.
Yeah, we just watched the first one a couple days ago.
To get ready for Lightyear.
Yeah, and just to get because it's been a while since I think we had seen the first one. Been probably like a year or two since we went back and watched it. That was one of our COVID binges that we went through and watched all the Toy Story movies. But yeah, it's just been something that's been around for forever. And I remember when we were watching the first one, it just took me back to like just how much I love this franchise and how much I just loved like the idea of like your toys coming to life.
Yeah. Like, did you think when you were younger, like, did you think your toys could come to life when you left the room?
I didn't think that they necessarily could come to life, but I definitely felt like watching Toy Story, like they had like personalities, and they were going to be upset if I didn't play with them. So I remember like growing up, like I was very mindful to like try to play with like my toys equally. If that makes sense. Like I couldn't like I played with a lot of like wrestling action figures growing up. So like I didn't want to like play with like one too much because I'm like, and then the other one, so that was kind of like something to be more mindful or cognizant about. Is just like, oh, these toys can like they have a personality.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too. Like I don't think I thought that they could like come to life. But yeah, like I didn't want, like I was always nice to my toys. Like I wasn't like a Sid to my toys by any means. But yeah, I was always nice to them and took care of them. Like I didn't want to like wreck them or anything like that. So yeah, like I had my favorites, like,
which one, like what were couple of your favorites?
So we played with a lot of Bratz dolls and Barbies were pretty much our main things. I did have a teddy bear named Snuggles, and I still have her, and she was just like my favorite like comfort item. I didn't really like play with her too much, but she was just always on my bed. Like she just kind of just hung out there, and she was always there. But yeah, definitely Bratz and Barbies were our thing. Like I guess like as far as like inside kind of things to play with, me and my sister would just spend like our weekends just playing with them. So I guess
I had a lot of like wrestling action figures. I was really like big into like it was WWF at the time, but WWE wrestling action figures, and like I was very specific with them too. Because I remember one year for a birthday, I got like a WCW action figure.
Oh, I can't have that.
And it was like the same thing when someone gives you like a Mega Bloks instead of Legos, because Legos were like huge for me growing up. I loved Legos. We still have a huge like, I don't know, like 10-gallon tote full of Legos somewhere down in the basement here that we've kept from when I was young. And it's just like, I remember like, you got me Mega Bloks?
Yeah.
And like I like now like that's such like a first world problem. Like that's not an issue at all.
Right.
But like growing up, like that was like a status symbol of like you could get like these Legos instead of the Mega Bloks, or like and it's yeah, you know. But yeah, I don't remember like growing up with like a specific like that one toy. Like I don't remember having like the Woody.
Yeah, for me, I guess it maybe would be my bear Snuggles, but like I said, I didn't really play with her so much, as like she was just kind of like a comfort item, like to kind of sleep with or just hang out on my bed or whatever. But I've had her for like probably since I was like 5 or 6 or so. So I've had her for a long time.
And I remember growing up, like kind of like how Andy has in. And it shows us quite vividly in the first Toy Story movie that, you know, he puts Woody on the bed, and it's like a Woody's Roundup bed set.
Yeah.
And then when Buzz comes in, he's the new toy. Like he's Andy's like his favorites, and so like the posters on the wall get changed to Buzz Lightyear, and the bedding gets changed to, you know, the Space Ranger bedding. And I remember like having multiple different like beddings for like to match kind of like my favorite thing. Like I know I had a wrestling one, and I know I had like a football one. And I believe my mom said I had like an Aladdin one.
Yeah.
And I remember having an Aladdin blanket or a I think it was a Lion King blanket.
Okay.
But I remember like it kind of had to like,
you're switching it out as you go.
So like we're rewatching Toy Story the other day, and I'm just like, yep, like I remember I can identify with Andy in this case, because like I was that kid that needed to have the certain bedding for whatever like my favorite thing of that, you know, of the year was.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't remember having that. Like we just had like, I don't know, like generic like blankets and stuff. I don't remember having like a specific character or a theme or anything for mine, but it's all right.
Well, getting back to like the Toy Story specific aspect of today's episode, I think do we have, I guess we should have maybe mentioned this earlier, like do you have like a favorite character of the Toy Story franchise, or like between any of the movies, like you have a favorite character?
Oh sure, so I really like Bullseye. Like he's just so cute, and like Bullseye and Jessie together, like they're really cute. And I really like Bonnie. In Toy Story 3 is like, it's my favorite Toy Story.
Yeah, I would say that Toy Story 3 is my favorite.
And I really liked Bonnie. I thought she was just the perfect addition and like what the toys needed. So, and she's just so cute. Like I really like her. She
really reminds me of our friend Katrina's girls. Like just the way that they play with their toys, and like just kind of seeing them run, like when we go over to their house and like running around, like I can see Bonnie in them. So it's kind of funny seeing that.
What about you? Do you have like favorite movie or characters?
I would say Toy Story 3 is probably my favorite of the movies. As much as I really enjoy 4, like I really struggle with 4, because part of me is just like, was it necessary?
Yeah, like that's what I think, like, because Toy Story 3, like the ending was just, it was so perfect.
It was.
Like,
and we were like crying in the theaters. Like we're like, there's a bunch of little kids behind us, and like they probably don't like understand like the emotional grasp of this, but like I've been with this character for 15 years. And it is going to be incinerated. Like that hurt on a different level.
Yeah, it really did. Like I was a little shocked that they went there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're gonna die.
And as much as there were moments in Toy Story 4 that were emotional, and I felt like there was a good payoff for Woody's character.
Yes.
But I wouldn't, it's weird, like I think how Lightyear is for Buzz Lightyear, the toy, I think like Toy Story 4 was for Woody. Like Toy Story 4
Oh,
was it was
sure.
more of a Woody movie,
Yes.
and
Yep.
as opposed to like a whole gang type of movie. Like I mean,
Yeah.
obviously everyone was there and there was a lot of new
Yeah.
additions, but like this was a very Woody centric
Yes.
movie, and not that I didn't like it by any means. It's still a really really good
it's
movie.
still a really good movie.
I just don't think that in the long run, at the end of it, maybe it was.
It just wasn't
necessary.
really needed.
Right.
I don't think. I mean, but it told like a really good story. I just don't know like if it was so much a part of like the Toy Story franchise.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I think if they would have like named it like something like with Woody, I don't know, because it's definitely like a journey for him and like his thing, and like you said, like the other characters are there, so I mean it's like a Toy Story movie, but it's not. So
it's like there's Star Wars and then there's like a Star Wars story, like an anthology story. Like,
yeah,
it's in the same universe, but like it definitely seemed more of a Woody centric, payoff and story, and I just come to grapple with Toy Story 4 because as much as I love it and the animation is so incredible and there's a lot of fun new characters in there, it's just you could have stopped at 3 and you would have been good.
3, the ending, like it was perfect. Like I couldn't imagine like a better like ending or like send off for Andy's toys than when he gives them to Bonnie. Like
and I know in 4 they tried really hard to give you like that really really good send off, and like with Infinity and Beyond at the end, and there was a really good attempt at the payoff, but it didn't match Toy Story 3.
No.
But going back between all of the movies, we have a little fun game that we're going to play today.
Yeah.
Kind of a this or that,
would you rather
type of game. We went through and kind of reminisced on all 4 original Toy Story movies, and kind of put together a little this or that game to see which one we would choose.
Yeah, fun little questions, which side you're going to choose.
Yeah, and I think there's some pretty straightforward, simple ones in here, and then there's some that maybe it'll make us think a little bit, or some fun ones in here too. Yeah. So definitely play along as you're listening here. If any of these you have like really strong opinions on, or want to let us know what you would pick on some of these, definitely let us know here in the comments, or drop us a message or anything. But we got them in this little basket tote here, so just maybe kind of go back and forth one by one and start reading them off. Is that like a plan?
Yeah, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Coming up with these was
this was fun.
This was quite fun. All right. Are we both going to answer this, or are we just going to am I going to ask you the question?
Oh, yeah, but I think we both can answer.
Okay, both. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Sammy, would you rather go to the carnival with Ducky and Bunny?
Okay.
Or see a Broadway show with Mr. Pricklepants?
Oh, goodness. Okay, so I think going to the carnival with Ducky and Bunny would be a blast.
Like, we'd be swindling, all them carnies for all the prizes.
But Mr. Pricklepants in a Broadway show, that's definitely more my style. So I think I'm going to go with Mr. Pricklepants. Yeah? Yeah, I'm going to go see a Broadway show with him.
I would go with Ducky and Bunny, only because I think, depending on the show, Mr. Pricklepants would probably have, too much of an opinion on something.
Yeah, probably.
He would get really, really into it, and I think that maybe it could tend to be a little bit exhausting.
I can see that.
So I'm going to go with Ducky and Bunny.
Okay. That sounds like a fun time. All right, so what do we got next? All right. Ooh, pretty straightforward. Woody or Buzz?
Ooh, and see, this is a difficult question. I feel, especially after watching Lightyear, it gives me a different perspective on Buzz. But then after watching Toy Story 1, I remember watching the first part, a couple minutes of that movie, and I'm just like, God, I don't like Woody.
Yeah.
He's kind of mean. He's kind of rude. He definitely isn't friendly, but then neither is Buzz.
Yeah.
So I think obviously as the story progresses, and I think 2 and 3 is where you really get a really good sense of these characters. But in the first movie alone, I was cheering for them, but I don't think I was cheering for like one specific toy.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, I don't know. There's just something about them. But I think I'm gonna choose. I'm gonna choose Buzz.
Okay.
Reason being is that if I was given the option between like right now me 32-year-old Tyler buying a nice Buzz Lightyear action figure or a Woody, he's not an action figure because he's fabric and cloth.
He's a doll.
Is he a doll?
I would call him a doll. Yeah.
I would choose Buzz Lightyear.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with Buzz, which I'm assuming will make Molly from all ears very
very excited. Yeah, so initially I would think Woody is the one I would pick just because he's like old school, like nostalgia kind of thing, and I like that. Just because, but I don't know, but then Buzz, like I really like him now, and I think seeing the Lightyear movie, like you said, has a different perspective. But I think if I had to pick, I would probably go Woody.
Okay.
So.
No, that's fine.
I'm just gonna go old school.
You got Woody, I got Buzz.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. All right. Another one we got to choose: Slinky Dog or Bullseye.
Ooh.
Now this one's tough too because
I
so loyal, so lovable.
they're
hard to choose.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm gonna go Bullseye.
I would go Bullseye too, only and this is gonna sound weird, but he reminds me more of a dog than Slinky Dog.
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna go Bullseye.
Nothing against Slinky Dog.
Yeah, nothing against Slinky Dog. All right. Next one is okay, we have a couple.
Okay.
So Jessie and Buzz together or Bo Peep and Woody?
Jessie and Buzz. I'm gonna make that real quick.
Yeah. I don't think like that's too much of a competition.
No. I just love the relationship they have. They're with each other like the entire time. Like Buzz and Woody or Buzz and or not Buzz, Woody and Bo Peep get separated for many years in between there. And I definitely don't want to be separated from you.
I know, yeah. So it's like there's kind of like a thing, but it's not really like expanded upon until like the fourth movie, really.
And that's such a long time to wait for a payoff for a relationship between two toys that
yeah so I would definitely pick Jessie and Buzz. Well, especially when Buzz goes in his Spanish mode and they have that whole little scene. Yeah, I love that.
Put him back in Spanish mode. All right. Would you rather be Andy's toy or Bonnie's toy?
Ooh, okay. So I really like Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's just so cute, and like I love her room. Like I think it would be really fun to be a toy in there. But then I don't know. I think to go back to like the 90s and like be in that time period to be like Andy's toy. I think I'm gonna go Andy. Like I would want to be like Andy's toy in the 90s and like because I don't like like us playing with toys like as kids, like that's what we did. Like we played with toys and then we went outside and played and like I don't know, like I feel like being a kid in the 90s, like you just can't really beat that era. So
yeah, well, I think regardless of when you were born, I think you're always gonna go back to like the kids in that era that you grew up in.
I guess maybe, but yeah. So I'm going Andy.
I'm gonna go Bonnie 100% because Andy was so forgetful with his toys. He was forgetting them in the car or like leaving them at Pizza Planet,
and then they would just show up like magic. Like
and he's like, "Oh my god, they're right here!" And his mom's like, "See, right where they put it." I'm like, "No, like." He ran away from a dog with a rocket strapped to the back of his, onto the back, and like Andy's not really careful with his toys.
That's true, yeah. But then they go on fun adventures.
Yeah, but you could still. I'm sure Bonnie takes her toys on fun adventures to Sunnyside and to other places. Like, I don't really think that if I were a toy that I'd really want to be, taking Forky walking down the highway in the middle of the night. But I guess
that's true.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think I would go with Bonnie.
Yeah. That's fair.
What's next?
Oh my goodness, if I could get it open.
The suspense is killing me.
I know.
And the Oscar goes to.
All right. Who's the better villain? Prospector Pete or Lotso?
Ooh. This is a really good question because I feel like they have very different like villain types. Like they both hit it fairly well, but I feel like not Zurg. I felt that Lotso like had everybody fooled.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised by him.
And in terms of villain, like, you know, Prospector Pete or Stinky Pete, all he wanted to do was just stay in a box and have like his entire like collection stay in a box. Like he wasn't like out to like rule an entire like daycare. He wasn't like throwing like toys away or anything.
Yeah.
So, and I think in terms of like who did more villainous things, I'm gonna go with Lotso.
Okay.
Just because like he like legit was not a good toy.
No, he wasn't. He was a pretty bad toy, and I would probably pick Lotso too for that reason. Like I like the surprise villains, like,
yes,
because I don't like, there's sometimes where I can like pick up on things, but like, especially when I'm watching a movie for the first time, like I'm just like so into it. Like a lot of times, like I think where other people are just like, oh yeah, I knew he was the villain or I could see it. And I'm just like, I had no idea. So, and I like that. Like I like being surprised. So yeah, I would pick Lotso.
I'm gonna go with Lotso too. All right. So about halfway through with these questions here. Let's see what else. This is a long one. All right. Would you rather go to a fashion show with Ken and Barbie, or a tea party with Mrs. Nesbitt?
Mrs. Nesbitt. Oh, okay. So I think as much fun as going to tea with Mrs. Nesbitt would be, because I mean, in that part, like Buzz was like, he was really at a low point in that part of the movie.
Yes.
And I just don't know, like, going to tea with him would be as fun. So I'm going to go with, like, the fashion show. I think would just be a blast with Ken and Barbie. So I'm going to pick the fashion show.
I would probably pick the fashion show as well. Only for the fact that I'd love to spend tea time with Mrs. Nesbitt. Let's get that 100% straight. However, you're in Sid's house.
Yes.
I mean, you might be in his sister's room, but you're still in general vicinity of Sid. Like, you're just one wrong turn for being like eaten by Scud or being blown up in the backyard. Like, it does not take long for a toy to not be a toy in Sid's house. Yeah, so,
very true.
Let's go to the fashion show with Ken and Barbie.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Next one. Would you rather lose your status as favorite toy to Buzz Lightyear or Forky?
You know, I love Forky, but I think I would be just as equally mad to lose out to a Spork. Like, yeah, that would make me really upset.
Yeah,
like that would be like saying like if you like you dumped me for a cardboard cutout
yeah.
of someone else. I'm like, I don't care who the cardboard cutout is of, it's still a cardboard cutout. Like, that's not gonna make me feel good. I guess I would rather you dump me for a real person than a cardboard cutout.
Yeah,
I know that's a weird analogy, but
no, I get it. Yeah, I saw you're picking Buzz.
I would rather lose the Buzz.
Yeah, me too. At least he's like a legit fun toy. I don't know, but Ani makes the best of her Forky, and she loves them. So yeah, I don't know.
Give it to her, I guess. Yeah. All right. What's this next one here? All right. Would you rather have Emperor Zurg as your dad, or be the dad to 3 green little aliens?
Oh, gosh. So, taking care of aliens is a full-time job always.
Like, are these baby aliens, or are these like the aliens like that are already like already in the established in the Toy Story movies. Like,
I just took them, like as the ones that are already established, but there's still a handful.
Yeah.
So I would probably pick Emperor Zurg as my dad, because then if I don't really like him, then I don't have to talk to him, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I guess a good way of looking at it is that Buzz and Zurg did have a good relationship by the end of Toy Story 2. Like, they were playing fetch with his blaster balls or whatever that comes out of Zurg's hand. So, like, I mean, I guess as bad as Emperor Zurg is, there is a redemption that can happen there.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, I don't know. I just don't want the responsibility of 3 little aliens. So,
however, if I ever do fall into an incinerator, they might come to help. They might come to help out.
They might save you.
I don't know. I'll still pick Zurg.
You're so fucking Zurg. You knew it.
All right. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Couple more.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
These are fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, would you rather get a ride from Bullseye, RC Car, or Buster the dog?
So, if I'm a toy, I think I'd almost rather get one from Buster, just because Buster seems really, really fun.
Yeah.
But then, like, getting to say, like, ride like the wind, Bullseye.
Yeah.
Like, that would be really, really fun too. I remember, side note, like growing up, I had a little RC car, like an RC car. I'm assuming I probably wore the battery out and, busted it up in the road, but I do remember having one of those growing up, and that was super, super cool. So I think I would rather drive RC car instead of like get a ride from RC car. If that makes sense. I guess between the two, I'm going to go with to get a ride from Bullseye.
Okay.
What would you do?
I'm going to do Buster the dog.
Yeah.
Just because as a human, you can't ride a dog. So
unless you're a tiny human and
you're like really
dog.
small. Yeah. But yeah, I think that would just be fun to hitch a ride on Buster the dog. Plus, he seems nice and he doesn't really like eat the toys.
Oh, yeah. Buster's a hero.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Would you rather be a Frankenstein toy from Sid's room or a tortilla potato head?
I love this question so much.
I could not contain myself when I thought of this question. It was just so ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going tortilla potato head.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I don't want to be in Sid's room. I don't want to be a Frankenstein toy. And oh my gosh, I could not contain that scene is just like, who comes up with that stuff? Like,
who greenlit that epic?
I don't know.
I know he's a potato. Like, it's Mr. Potato Head. It's in his name.
But hear me out.
Just tortilla. And then he's just like flopping around as he walks back. But most of the stuff still stays like attached to him. And I'm just like, that is one very, porous tortilla to keep everything all together there.
Okay.
All right. So we're down to our last one here.
All right.
Last one. What do we got here?
All right. One-Eyed Bart or Evil Dr. Porkchop?
Ooh, like villains, but not villains.
Yeah.
Who had the better world domination plan? One-Eyed Bart. God, I remember. Is Dr. Porkchop? That's Ham, and with the big like Ham mobile, but I'm gonna go with that one.
Oh, okay.
Just because he's got the cool ship that looks like Ham himself, so I'm gonna go with him.
All right, I'll pick One-Eyed Bart. So
yeah, the classic. It's Andy's imagination.
I know.
Just running wild.
I love it when they do that. Like those are so fun.
Yeah, but speaking of fun, this was so much fun to do.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed coming up with like these kind of like this or that or would you rather. Like, we took a little bit of time to figure these out, and then I was kind of like, we gotta like maybe like make some weird ones. That's where the tortilla potato.
I love it.
Speaking of loving things, let's end today's episode talking about our thoughts and how much we liked the new Lightyear movie.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Yes, the new Lightyear movie just came out this past weekend, so wanted to give you guys a review on it as soon as we possibly could, and it just kind of made sense with everything we're talking about in Toy Story today.
Mesh a whole Toy Story episode together.
Right. So, if you guys don't know, Lightyear is the true, I guess, in-world movie that the toy Buzz Lightyear is based off
Yes.
of. So, and it even says that like in the opening credits of the movie. It's like even before
Oh,
anything
yep.
happens,
Yeah,
it says
it
like
says
in
in there.
1999, like Andy got his,
1995.
or 1995, sorry. But Andy got his Buzz Lightyear toy. This is the movie that the toy is based off of.
Yeah.
So they made it really clear, like this is like it's still in Toy Story universe.
Yep.
Starring Chris Evans. My God.
Need we say more?
Kiki Palmer and Taika Waititi, amongst others.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was really good, and I just love all the callbacks and like just finding all like the Easter eggs for Toy Story.
Yes, and they made sure to get those get those started
Yeah.
right away because like there
Yep.
was dialogue that Tim Allen's Buzz Lightyear says in the first couple movies that Chris Evans said like word for word.
Yep, yeah, like so in the original Toy Story movie when Buzz lands on Andy's bed, like that dialogue is all like pretty much word for word, like in the first few minutes of the film, and just
so I think that was a really good choice of the creative team to make those callbacks, but then they definitely kind of made it their own certain way to fit the scene that they were in. So
Yeah.
like now hearing those quotes or those sayings in like the Toy Story movies, like, well, were those made up like on the spot, or were like those just because like Buzz knew what that was because Andy had said it or quoted it from this Lightyear movie?
Yeah, it kind of gets you thinking. So like, yeah, overall, like I thought it was a really good movie, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought like we had said earlier, I think it just gives a little bit more depth to Buzz, like the toy from Toy Story,
Right.
and like I think it just kind of like I mean I know like he's a toy and stuff, but it just gives more background and like a better story, I guess, for him, like where he came from and like what he's all about and why he like does the things he does. And so yeah, like overall I thought it was a really good movie, and I thought they did a really good job like for most of the storyline.
Yeah, there were a couple spots that kind of, I don't want to say irked me, but it was kind of like I'm not really on board with this, or like I just didn't really like the direction. One of the first parts was, I guess, just in general, putting it in the Toy Story universe. Like I didn't need a movie to figure out what Buzz Lightyear was about.
Yeah.
Like I didn't need that. I don't think it was necessarily needed. Like you knew that growing up there was always like a popular toy. Like it could have been any toy.
Yeah.
It's just in the Toy Story universe, it was Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
Like I don't think we necessarily needed like the story behind Buzz Lightyear because it gives it pretty clearly, like when he's reciting everything on the back of his box in Toy Story 1.
Right.
Not to say that this movie wasn't, needed or wasn't a good addition by any means. It's just that I don't think that we needed it to be specifically set in the Toy Story universe saying like, hey, this is what happened to lead up to Andy getting his toy. I guess a big reason for me, like why that doesn't make sense to me, is like the animation style is so much different. Like this movie did not come out in like 1994, 1995 for Andy to get this toy. Like you can definitely tell that wasn't that type of movie. And that's just me being like nitpicky, I guess.
Yeah, I can.
But I
get it though.
That was kind of like when they very much made that clear. Like this is the direction of why this movie is happening.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, okay, we'll see. I'll base my judgment on the movie on everything else other than that fact. But it just kind of like bothers me that they like that was the reasoning for like making this movie, and I'm like, well, who really, I guess, needed that?
Yeah. I was thinking that too. It's it's kind of like in the terms of like Toy Story 4, like like it's like the Woody journey, or like
are we gonna get like a cowboy movie?
Yeah, that's why I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, are we gonna get like Woody's Roundup episodes, or I don't know. Yeah, so I guess like, so that's why I'm like, it's good. It's just like it probably wasn't like really needed, but it still like had a really good story. And
yes, and I think the story in general was really, really good. I did the characterization of Buzz himself was very much like how he was at the beginning of Toy Story 1.
Yeah.
And it almost like it was difficult for me just because as much as I really like Chris Evans and I like Buzz Lightyear throughout these the Toy Story films, like he was very standoffish and just very much like kind of like a prude and didn't want any help.
Yep.
And like they kind of almost made him unlikable.
Yep.
But I mean, obviously that was for
his character
development to
evolve.
start trusting.
Yeah.
So I understand like where they had to start off because that's where they needed to end the movie. But to me, it felt like people should have not have liked him more than they did. Like his best friend Alicia in the Star Command, they were best friends.
Yep.
And like he was kind of a jerk at some points in the first little bit of the movie, and like just kind of like only thought about himself. Like he was the reason. So like they couldn't make it off the planet, so like he needed to derank himself and like court martial himself. And I'm just kind of like, okay, like being a little too much
dramatic. Yeah, a little over dramatic. And that's pretty much the whole premise of the movie is like it's his mission to get them off this planet, and he just keeps at it. And by the end of the movie, he kind of realizes like the people that he's trying to get off this planet to get home, like they've already made their home here. Like they've already like they're living their life. They're falling in love and having families, and and he missed out on all of that. And
that was at his own fault, I feel.
Yeah.
Because like he was the one that was constantly going out and taking these missions and bypassing 4 years of his life on every mission.
Yep.
Like for every 4 minutes that he was in space or whatever, like what was it, 4 years had went by?
Like 4 years.
So I'm just kind of like, but he was purposely doing that himself. So like I just feel like maybe he was a bad friend to Alicia. Like if they were like really good cadet friends and strong cadets in like the Space Force, like you wouldn't think that he would want to waste 4 years of their friendship just on a 4-minute flight. When, as you said, after like the second or third flight, like people were making do with where they were at. Like there was vegetation growing on this planet. Like people were having, or making do and living there and having relationships and creating families. Like at one point, I felt like Buzz should have been like, okay, maybe I don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And it was always just him like, I need to get this done. It's me, only I can do that.
And gotta complete the mission.
And as much as like I understand like you are Buzz Lightyear, you need to complete the mission, it's kind of like, like read the room, Buzz. Like you can have the life that you want. It's just here. And I don't know if like it didn't really extrapolate if he had any family back home. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So it just like I think.
I feel the more I talk about it, the more I'm just like, did I like this movie?
I know, that's what I'm.
But I did. I really did like this movie. I'm just being very critical and nitpicky about things that I just don't like about it.
Yeah. Well, okay. I guess on things that we don't like about it. Like the time travel thing and how we get old Buzz at the end. Like
they don't explain that at all.
I felt okay. I'm like, did I miss something? Because I don't know how you end up with 2 Buzzes essentially. Like I know like old Buzz says, oh yeah, I got to hyperspeed and I came back and they wanted to like
so I guess
arrest me.
Just a side note, to pause right there, to kind of get everyone back up to speed if it's been a little bit. So Emperor Zurg, who's just Zurg in this movie, has a confrontation with Buzz. And he opens up his suit, and it turns out just to be Buzz from the future, or a future.
But he's old.
But he's older. Yes,
he's old Buzz.
Yes, he's old Buzz, and I shouldn't say from the future, but like a different timeline.
Yeah, a different timeline.
And like you said, they don't extrapolate on that, or they don't explain how that happens.
Because like I was saying, like old Buzz, who is Zurg, comes back after he reaches hyperspeed, and they want to arrest him because like he went off and like did this without their permission and stuff, and then he
but when did this happen? That's the thing that just makes me kind of. That's the
thing is like, so if that was Buzz, like how do we still get another Buzz, or like how do we get like this other, like I don't know. So I don't know, me and time travel just don't get along. But I think with this movie, they just didn't do a very good job explaining that part of it. And I don't like that it was old Buzz. Like, I don't like that it was Buzz.
I think just it was kind of like cliche or just kind of like fan service in the second Toy Story movie where it was a callback to Star Wars, like, Buzz, you are my father, or you are my son, or like, Zurg, I am your father. And it was funny at the time. Like, I still think it's funny now, but like, I read an article where the director, which is very much like, we don't want to do that. Like, we want to diverge off that. Like, that was, for what it was fan service. It was just a fun little reference to a different franchise at the time. But I understand why they wanted to change up the story. But when Zurg opened up his suits and stepped out, like, I was assuming that it was Buzz's father. And like, that's how you got like Zurg being, I am your father. Completely different. I guess I'm not irked by it about that not being his father, but like, just the fact that it's old or a different timeline Buzz, but you don't explain anything about how that happened.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of like Endgame for you all over again.
Yeah,
like,
a little bit.
Endgame was very much like, time travel. Does it work? Yes. How does it work? Just go along with it.
Right. Yeah. So that I didn't really like. But I don't know, and I don't want it to sound like we're hating on this movie, because I love the team. Like, I love the team that Buzz assembles, like Izzy, Mo, and Darby.
Yes.
Like, they're amazing. And Socks, like,
MVP, hands down, stole the show every single scene that he was in. Every
time. So, like, it definitely is good. I just think there's just a couple parts, like with the movie as a whole, that I think we kind of have issues with. And
I think I could get over everything about like being like, this is the movie that inspired the toy. Like, I could get over that as long as like they got rid of the different timeline variation of Buzz.
Yeah, so then essentially I just wish it was somebody else in the suit, I guess. You know, but yeah, overall it's just you know, a below rookie team. What are they called?
The junior cadets or something?
The junior cadets?
Yeah.
So Buzz doesn't like rookies. Well, he gets lower than rookies and has to make a team out of them.
And for the purpose of what Buzz needed in this movie, like, it made perfect sense.
Yeah.
That was such a strong, you know, turn that they went there. Keke Palmer's Izzy is so much fun. She's like just so quirky and witty. Taika, like, he doesn't have a whole lot of lines in it, Mo,
but he knocks it out of the park per usual. Like, 100%. I don't know what role he like can't like just I don't know, make amazing. Like, I don't know. It's
just and Darby, like, I wasn't like too like sure about the character of Darby. They're the older character that can build a bomb out of
and she's on parole.
And I think like that it was kind of just like a weird, quirky character that was put in there, but like obviously helped progress the story along. There was a lot of really funny moments in it. Like I said, Socks just stole every scene, beep boop, and just like any time that Socks spoke, like, I was in stitches.
Yes, for sure.
And then just kind of like weird, like the sandwiches having bread,
yeah,
and like having like a full on like argument over like, oh, you had bread, who did that? Like, how long did you do that? Forever? Oh, that sounds awful.
Yeah, that's too much bread.
That's too much bread. And like, they kind of kept going on with it. I'm like, okay, I'm down with this. Like, keep this kind of banter up between the team. I really enjoy that. It made Izzy take risks by going out into space.
Yes.
And kind of called back to when Buzz was trying to, in the initial scene, get the turnip off of the planet, and, you know, just a little bit of a slight variation, and they got stuck. I think there was a lot of really cool foreshadowing moments and callbacks in the movie. In general, I thought it was a really, really strong movie. I know you had kind of brought it up before, like, is it is there a rewatchability to it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too when we were thinking like, well, what do we rate this? Like, how do we, kind of feel about it? And that's the thing is like, I don't know how often I'm going to be wanting to, I guess, rewatch it.
Yeah, it's kind of like I would be down to watch Toy Story 3 like anytime.
Yeah.
Toy Story 4, I don't know. Like I have to be in a certain mood. This movie was really, really fun. The writing was awesome. There's a lot of really, really funny parts. It's just in total, like, broad terms of it, I'm just kind of like, I don't know how often I'd want to go back to watch this movie again.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, like, and I don't know, like, I don't want that to make it seem like it's bad, but I think it's just kind of, like, the storyline, like, this is, the movie that inspired the toy kind of.
It's good for what it is, but we just kind of keep going back to like, was it necessary? Was it absolutely needed? And as much as, it is a really good story, the characters are good. Like Chris Evans, his vocal acting in it was incredible. I'll watch it again. I just don't know. I just don't know when I'll watch it.
Yeah, I would definitely watch it again. It's just that urge to like, oh yeah, I'm really feeling Lightyear today.
Right. It's not going to be like in a movie like, I know when like when Encanto came out, like we were watching that like at least like once or twice a week for like the longest time there. So I guess in the end, like what do you want to rate it?
I think
how many unicorn horns do you want to give it?
Horns. I'd probably give it a 7.
Yeah, I think a 7 is good.
A 7 is fair. It was good. Like for the most part, the storyline was good. The characters were amazing. Like I
want a socks. Like I want like I really hope that like someone like any toy maker makes like a socks, but like spoiler alert if you're this far into it, it's going to contain spoilers about the Lightyear movie. But at the very end of the movie, which is also one of my favorite Easter eggs, the whole entire team, they're all in their white and green Space Ranger suits. They're all looking like Buzz Lightyear. And Socks comes in and he's got just like the little like chest plate on or whatever, and they're walking. He's like, I don't have any pants on. This is weird. Should I put pants on? And then gets into the ship, which I don't know if you noticed this or not, but in like when they're getting into the final ship to go off into section or Gamma Quadrant 4, which is a nice little callback to the Toy Story movie. They're going into a ship that looks like the packaging of the Buzz Lightyear toy. And I
didn't notice that right away.
When it was down, I didn't think, because I was waiting for it the entire movie. Like there's got to be a reason like that was the packaging of the toy.
Yeah.
But then they kind of did like a top down shot of it. I'm like, oh, come on,
there it is.
There is the Buzz Lightyear spaceship box. But then like Socks comes in there and kind of comes up from underneath and spins his head around, kind of like R2-D2, and he's got like the purple like headpiece on too, and he's all in like his Space Ranger, and I'm like, oh my god, Socks is gonna save the universe.
Yes.
All right.
See, I think that's what this movie is. Like, I just love the nostalgia, like the callbacks. Like, I think that's what I really love this movie for.
Oh, even with you had a really fun one that you were talking about earlier with Ivan.
Oh, with Ivan, yeah. And so in the beginning of the movie, Buzz is because Ivan is the autopilot.
Yes, he hates autopilot.
Yes, and it's in like a little cartridge. So if you think of like the old Nintendo games that you had to like slide in, it's so Ivan isn't working quite right, so he takes it out, blows in it, puts it back, and I'm like, if that isn't the most 90s thing to do.
At that part I was like, okay, this makes sense. Like this part makes sense that it was made in the 90s or the Buzz Lightyear toy in the 1995, because like you had to blow with the cartridge to make it work. That made sense.
I think this is what I'm going with. Like, I think I really enjoy the movie. Well, for the characters, and then just all the callbacks and the nods to like the Toy Story franchise and like some of like those 90s kind of things. Yeah. Like I really like that.
I like a lot of the story lines, but like the actual like I guess entire plots of it, there was just a couple misses for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd still, still a 7 out of 10 or 7.5, kind of in that ballpark. It's still a favorable review. Like,
it's still a good movie. You should still go watch it. Yeah, for sure.
100%. Well, this has been super fun. I loved getting to go back and talk about all of our favorite Toy Story moments here. It's been a minute since we've watched 2 and 3 and 4, but every time we go back to these movies, I absolutely love it.
They're so good. And it's just like, again, like I think Disney taking like a simple kind of like
concept or
idea.
Like
weird kind of idea, like what would happen if your toys like came to life, and
they did that back in the 90s and just ran with it because like we said in the beginning, it's been going on for years and years and years now. It's been around my life for 27 years now.
Yeah.
Which is a overwhelming majority of my of my
and
time.
they're still just so good, and like the characters are they're amazing, and we love them.
Yes. But what do you think about Toy Story? Which one is your favorite movie? And if you saw Lightyear yet, what did you think of it?
Yes,
are we
please.
being too harsh or
I don't know. I don't think we're being too harsh, but maybe we are. I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts and opinions on Toy Story and the new Lightyear movie? We'd love to know.
Yeah, definitely leave us a comment down in wherever you read or not read your podcast, wherever you
listen to Team Unicorn.
You listen to Team Unicorn. You can also drop us an email at teamunicornpodcast@gmail.com. We're always open to some suggestions and ideas. We actually have a couple ideas from listeners coming up here shortly here, so very excited for those. But definitely, let us know what you think, and we'd love to have you as part of the conversation here.
Yes, so follow us on all the socials and let us know what you think.
Yeah. Well, for today's Toy Story episode of the Team Unicorn podcast, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Sammy.
And it's been magical.